Om Shanti. So this is the third session. So we have done 2 questions. And this is question number 3. We have a total of 4, 7, maybe 8 questions. So we need 2 more days. Anyway, it's okay. So this question is, after the pandemic, society has changed a lot. Have BKs caught the pulse of these changes? Are we adapting our efforts and service to this new scenario? When the pandemic stopped, say 2022 or something, people used to talk about before COVID and after COVID. Now they don't. During the pandemic, everything in BK stopped. And Daddy Janki left the body 2021, and Daddy Gulzar, and so many people left the body. But I think that now everything is back to normal. Yeah.
Less people come.
Less people, because what happened in the pandemic is we discovered Zoom, and Zoom discovered people. And everybody realized that it's much better to go to class on Zoom than physically go to class. And in fact, for many years, I was trying to push that we should do all of our service on internet. And all the service I do is on Zoom, more or less. And when I do a class, there are 2,000 people who go on it, either on Zoom or afterwards on YouTube. So that's more than a normal center. You know, this is the narrative, because the system of having centers is a copy of the system in India. All the Hindus go to the temple on their way to work. And so then when BK came to the West, they made the Western people get this feeling you have to go to the center because there's a nice vibration and all the things, which is true. But practical reality is you have people who are living in anywhere, could be anywhere. And in many centers you have only 2 people or 3 people coming. So you have to pay the rent, $1,000, $2,000. That's not economical. I mean, it's important to have a main center and you have to pay more money for that and everything, but if you're thinking about practicalities, for somebody to go to the center from where they live is a big issue. So one of the things that happened after COVID is many centers closed because a lot of people said, you know, we will see the class on Zoom. Murli, yeah. All of these things are modeled on the Hindu traditional relationship between the Hindu devotees and the temple. Yeah, when we started all this in the 1970s in foreign countries, that time this was exotic. Now it's not exotic. That makes a difference. Because people in India, the devotees, since 1,000 years they've been doing this. That means it's part of the culture, part of the religion. You have to go to the temple every day. Now in Roman Catholic Church there are people who go to the church every day. Some go every day. But in the church here in Bees I never seen anyone except in funeral. Sometimes the door is open, I go in and see what's happening. Yeah, we went in. Maybe 1 or 2 candles are burning, but no people. And no priest. Okay. The church bell rings 7 o'clock in the morning, not for church, but go to work. 7 o'clock, go to work. For the agricultural workers, right? And it rings at 12 o'clock for lunch. And 7 o'clock evening, go home now. Dinner time. Every day, I hear it, and I know what time it is, you see. And in France, all the churches are owned by the government, not by the Catholic Church.
Yeah.
So basically, France is not a very religious place. And Spain is more religious, yeah. And but you know, most of the Western people, they're kind of humanitarian mentality,
Yeah.
but they don't believe in religion much. But there are, like in America, there are the extreme right-wing religious fanatics. Then everything of any interest is all on the internet. Mostly people do not go to the cinema, they watch it on their own screen at home.
Yeah.
Even people don't go to the bars, they have drink at home. So if you put BK things, interesting things, but yeah, these Minervois is an exception. But you know, in general, because people work hard, they get less money, and travel from A to B is expensive. And so I feel that it is good to do that. And you don't need lots and lots and lots of little centers everywhere, which costs a fortune. So Brahmins like to come together once in a while. So, you know, some people, they like retreat centers, or some people, they go somewhere for a retreat, which they rent the retreat place. Like here, you come. Here, we have a nice time for 2 days, and then you go back to your different places.
Okay.
But you can't do this every day. It's not practical, you see. So the concept of centers where people go every day is out of date. And also, it's not efficient use of human energy. It's not efficient use of financial energy. So all these BKs, they have centers, so they make all the people come and listen to a lecture. And so some people, they like listening to the lecture, but they don't want to do the course. So you get more and more people who enjoy the lectures, but they don't become Brahmins. Then you also get lots of people who come to the center because it's too expensive to go to the psychotherapist. It's very expensive.
Muy cara.
And traditionally, mental health care is done by the religions. So, you know, the reason for all these BK things that people do is reducing. And this is not because of the pandemic, but the pandemic was like a full stop, a milestone, because nobody was allowed to go out. Especially with centers, people got used to not coming. And then they continued with that. And they can listen to the lectures online. And people, it's very hard for people as they get older and older to make these traveling and parking. So I think that the BKs are adapting to this and making sure that everything is online, and as well as a few people come to the centers, but less and less centers. So then the question arises, what is next? So let me go to the next question because it's connected. What is the purpose to have BK centers in Western countries, as it seems there are no more Brahmins taking birth? And we did cover this.
Yes.
And the next question, how to deal with the aging of most Brahmins in the West? Well, one way is let them come to class on Zoom. And then the other thing is that, you know, everybody thought destruction will be a long time ago, and we'll all be in heaven by now. But we're not. We may go to heaven when we die, but, you know, that could be any time. Destruction and death is not necessarily on the same day. So many BKs, they do not have provision for their old age. They did not get married, so they don't have any children, so nobody cares. So it's a question. What to do with old BKs? Oh, well, we don't know. There's no answer to that question. Because nobody wants to take responsibility.
Well, Babizanki used to say that if we have any surrender, we should trust, we have the faith that we will get the sustenance some way.
Yeah, but it doesn't work like that always. See, if as a dedicated BK you have created lots of Brahmanis and lots of people in an Indian system, you can do that, then they will look after you. But in a Western culture, that's not the same thing. So Dadi Janki did not understand that there's a difference between one culture and another culture. She was absolutely convinced that there is no difference between any culture. It's okay, but there is a difference. Basically, everybody has to take care of themselves and they have to figure out a solution, because you cannot expect anything from the BK organization. So some BKs, they try and make little communities of a few people living together and things like that. There is a retreat center called the Confluence near Avignon. And there's one brother, and he has gone to live there. He's very old now. But the thing is, who will take care of the old person who needs support? So in the Indian culture, all the old people are very, very busy in their whole life, getting ready for their old age, having people to look after them. So I think it's quite reasonable for a few BKs to get together or live near each other or somehow take care of each other. That's probably a good solution. Okay. So the next question is a different one. What is true, real spiritual friendship? What are the boundaries and limits not to fall into attachments and familiarity? Okay, so this question is really for young people.
You think so?
Yeah, I do, because when you get older, I don't think you're so emotionally needy as when you're young. You know, I have people who are my friends in different parts of the world, and we interact on the phone or video calls, and we meet time to time once in a blue moon. But otherwise, I'm a solitary person. Yeah, I live alone. Most of my time is alone, and I like that. But not everybody is like that. But I think that if you lead a spiritual life, most of your sustenance is coming from God, and you're busy creating your internal world. So you need to have a few people around in case you need to go to hospital or something like that. And it's good to create relations so that people feel good about you. They feel good about you. They like you. And as far as my understanding of service, you need to do service because you need to create some credit with humanity. And I think this is what Dadi Janki means when she says, you know, if you do all these things, something will look after you, you know. And I experienced this. I don't worry. If you are always wanting something from everybody, your credit will finish quickly. But if you try to, you know, do something of benefit, then you're creating, it's like money, it goes around, comes around. So in India, they say hospitality is a very important aspect of spirituality. And it's, you can see in your life, if you are hospitable, if you do things, you give things, then it comes back quite sufficient. And you don't need to be greedy for no reason, you know. You have to understand what do you need for what you want to do, and then you get that. You know, I need computer, I need this, I need lots of things. But I use them. If you have things which you don't use, then it means you have a problem. So falling into attachments and familiarity is usually associated with young people. Because it's normal biologically and everything, a young person, they're organized, their body, soul, everything is organized for creating a family and all that.
Yeah, I think this question was also in the context of a sister living with another sister.
Yeah, but you know, it's just because they didn't, they're designed to come into relationships. So if you have sisters and sisters, or you have gay people or LGBT or whatever it is, brothers, sisters, sisters, whatever, this is the biological effect of the human body. And people are afraid to be alone. And this expression, attachment and familiarity, belongs to a convent. We are not religious people. We're in spirituality. But actually most of the BKs, they're religious and they're trying to create convents and monasteries. But Baba came along to finish all this religion business. God is not a religious person. And in the name of God, religions defame God. They kill each other and all that, and it's not very spiritual. You know, religion is all about making each other miserable. Yeah, you can't do this, and 100,000 Hail Marys, and kneel on the stone floor with your bare knees, and how to make yourself miserable quickly. No. Yeah, Baba thinks that's a weird behavior. It is. It doesn't make any sense. Because anyway, it doesn't work. And it's self-contradictory, etc., etc., etc. So I wouldn't worry about that. Anyway, we're all too old for all this. Baba says the unity of BKs will bring revelation. Well, are we really becoming more united? Maybe still BKs are so focused just on their own places and service. You know, this is all if you want to be a religion, then you will do this. Because, no, this is an institutional thing that will not create revelation. Revelation is when BKs are connected with Shiv Baba. And every BK understands Gyan differently. So you can say one definition of unity is that you understand the Gyan pretty well, and you go along with that. Because different people have different ideas about the meaning of unity. Now, most people think unity means conformity. Yeah, everybody's identical, clones. If you have a whole bunch of clones, this will not reveal God. He means that you have to arrive at consensus in your how you handle things, because at the moment it's very competitive and everybody wants to be the boss and to take over other people's territory and da-da-da. It's a bit like business. Because, you know, you can get all the BKs all dressed up in white with a badge and a plat and the whole thing, and you look exactly like the military, but it won't reveal God. They will get famous, but, you know, there are many other religious organizations that do exactly the same thing. And they're famous because you have a large number of people all lined up, all dressed in white, you know, and badges and similar things. But it doesn't reveal God. If all the BKs became egoless, viceless, and bodiless, that would probably reveal God. But each one will do in their own way, you know. Okay, it says, sometimes we go for a retreat or we make a special effort and we feel so energetic and enthusiastic. But after a while, it seems laziness and carelessness enter, and little by little the soul becomes dull, bored, and less motivated for intense spiritual effort. So this is normal. Because these things that you want to have, they are peak experiences. So if you have a peak experience every day, that's not a peak experience. It's flat. So it's because people do not understand what this is. And people think that if you feel good, then you're doing the right thing. But you could do that by drinking alcohol.
What about your stage? Your stage is feeling good also, no?
Yeah, but it still has to be like this. Because if it's flat, then you're bored. So it's not really about feeling, it's about being. And so when you are in your power, you don't have to show it all the time. You don't have to feel it all the time. And every so often you feel it, but not all the time. And you know it when some challenge comes and you can respond with power, then you know, yeah, I'm in my power. And every day there will be some ups and downs of different varieties. So circumstances are always up and down. And if you handle this ups and downs well, that's called equilibrium or equanimity. But it's not anything to do with energetic and enthusiastic all the time. So I think it's a mistake to tell people that they have to feel energetic and enthusiastic all the time, because you can't do it and it's no point.
But you must not feel down or like...
Well, when something makes you feel down, can you handle it?
Can you handle feeling bad, you mean?
Yeah, feeling bad, because something or another will make you feel bad. But you handle it. You have many methods to handle it, so that, okay, it makes you feel bad, but it doesn't take you down very far, just a little bit.
Okay.
You know, you have people called bipolar, and that used to be manic depressive, right? So the people are weak, so they go up when things are good and down when things are bad. So drug addicts are the same thing. So when you're a BK, circumstances take you up and down, but you are pretty steady in the middle of it. So energetic and enthusiastic is like up. And lazy and careless is like down. But nobody talks about being stable, steady in the middle. And this is the problem. You get the wrong message about what is Gyan. You have to understand that there will be up and down, and you be stable. And there are so many classes, and even Baba is saying you be enthusiastic and this and that, because he wants to encourage people. But if you take it literally, it's counterproductive. So it doesn't mean that you become like in a middle stage of nothing in particular. But you can, you know, make your life meaningful, whether it's up or down. You can handle yourself. So maybe some disappointing thing happens, but you don't get that much disappointed, maybe this much, you know. So you don't allow yourself to go too far down. There's a spiritual law in connection with this. And they say that if you experience, everybody thinks you're wonderful, marvelous, fantastic, and you receive this and that and the other. Many, many good things happen. And if you accept it, then after a little while, you'll be down on the bottom. So Daddy Janki used to always say that don't accept all this adulation and compliments and money and whatnot, because then when things are really down, it won't take you down. So then you can keep yourself going along nicely, like in the river. If you are flat, that's called dead, you know, flat line. Your heart is going like this, right? Yeah, it's okay, I'm feeling down, but it doesn't mean I have to go into a big depression. So it's possible something starts pulling you down and you go down. But as a good yogi, you notice, okay, something's pulling me down, I'm not going to go down. Yeah, you have to make a decision. I will not go too high unnecessarily, and I will not go down too far. And it's also written in the Gita about this. You know, yoga means stay in equilibrium. Equanimity or equilibrium, they're, you know, because it's a decision you make. Also, a very good advice that is sometimes given, that you can never do something or feel something because of another human being. You know, sometimes people say, this person made me angry. No, this person did what they did and you got angry. So you have to take responsibility for your emotions. Say, oh, I wasn't invited to this program. Okay, so what? So it's like you be careful that you don't make too much of a big deal out of something which is not really important, because then you become a slave to other people's behavior. So they test you, naturally. And they don't test you on purpose, but it's in the drama, that this test and that test and the other test. Because it wants to destabilize you and make you go up and down too far. And you say, because of this and this and this, it means something else. You know, it means I'm impure, or it means I'm not worthy. Come on. And also, other people, they will say things like, oh, you are a bad BK, you are not worthy, we don't like you, blah, blah, blah. Then you have to say, only God is my judge. You are not God. Unless I'm mistaken, maybe you're God, but I don't think you're God. Because then, end of story, you know. There's a little bit further about this unity and so on. Are we really becoming more united? Don't worry about it. It seems we are still very much action-oriented. Once we heard in a meeting that action is the laziness of Western Brahmins. We need to make a transition from doing into being. What is the key for that transition and focus and intense effort? But you know, when we were talking in dinner, actually we took up this subject.
Yeah.
When we were talking about being a light, that service is like... you create a vibration, you create a level of yoga that is attractive. And sometimes Baba will use you and, you know, show a light in the sky, and people will want, what is this? Well, you want to be natural, because sometimes people are so busy doing practices, they become completely unnatural.
Yeah, well, at least they're trying, but I mean...
To me, I think that you need to, like the early morning time with your meditation and your Murli study and your churning, that is where you really do your work. And I think if you have a good morning time, then the rest of the day will correspond to that, because that's the foundation of the day. You know, and I experience this also when I have a really good, you know, good Amrit Vela, good chit-chat between myself and the Murli and all of this. Then you're in your power, and all the rest of the day goes pretty nicely. But you know, when people are trying to do things which are unnatural, I don't think it creates progress. When you get a challenge, that's when you know whether or not you're soul conscious in action. And yes, it's true, Baba used to say, okay, I am a soul making my hand go over here, and then I make it come over here. But you don't need to do that all day, every day. You just do it once, because then you got it. And body consciousness means ego, right? Soul consciousness means that you are, like, you are real. You're in your power. And there's a lot of BKs, they make lists of all the signs of soul consciousness and all the signs of body consciousness. But I don't think that's a very good way to go, because you're busy with these words. Or in the Golden Age, people will not think about whether I'm soul conscious or body conscious. But in the Confluence Age, you're moving along normally, and you get a challenge. And how you handle it, that will tell you whether you're soul conscious or body conscious. You have to think, you have to churn. Because when you churn the knowledge in such a way as to inspire your mind and intellect, you understood it, you will be it because you got it. I think it's better like that. You know, a lot of these things correspond to ideas that people have in bhakti, which are actually not spiritual, they're religious. I think the good sign of really being soul conscious is somebody does something provocative and you do not fall into your usual behavior, but you catch it and you give a response which is correct. That's soul conscious. That means you're not acting according to your conditioning, you're acting according to your wisdom. That's more likely to reveal God. No, because you're thinkers, you see. You're understanding spirituality in a spiritual way, not in a religious way, not in a devotional way. You know, I mean, there are some Murlis where Baba's really talking to the thinkers. But most of the BKs are Hindu devotees, very simple. But don't allow anybody to make you into a baby. They try a lot. Even then, remember who you are. Because it's so easy, even if it's not other people around, it's so easy to just fall into this way of being a compliant baby. Compliant means to do like everybody else, even if they're not there, but they're somewhere. I see many BKs using certain language, which is jargon. You know jargon? Yeah, don't use jargon. You see, like even in this question, laziness and carelessness, this jargon.
So, what would you use then?
Well, because you don't know what you mean by laziness and carelessness. Are you sure?
Yeah, I think so. I know where I'm...
But you see, when it says we, it's like all of us become this. And this is the group mentality. You know, and we're all this and we're all that. No, that's not true. Everybody's different. And yes, it's true. We each have a certain amount of laziness, but it's different, each one. What I mean is this jargon creates a generalization. So when you make a generalization, you create prejudice. And prejudice is a sign of people who don't think. But you are thinkers. Don't forget, you are thinkers. You are conscious. You're not babies. And you're experienced in life. This is your self-respect, you know. Otherwise you go into losing faith in self. We talked about that earlier. And that was a very important point. Well, personally, to me, belonging indicates slavery. When a word is used a lot by a lot of people, it becomes used to control people's emotions. Belonging is one that I would put a red flag on it. So I will never use the word belonging for myself because it's overused by people who are trying to control other people. So I try to use words that other people don't use. You understand what I'm talking about. Because language can be manipulated so much. And people try to manipulate you like, you know, it's like an obsession. And they try to control your emotions, and very forcefully. I don't belong to anybody, thank you very much. Leave me alone. I belong to me. You see, because India is all about who is the owner of who. And they belong. I'm your owner, you're my slave, do what I say. Think what I say, feel what I say. You have no right to your independent thought. Excuse me, I am with God. Much better.
Now I understand more why you put all this emphasis, no? The sessions you do, this importance of being clear about the meaning of everything, no? Because it's true, no? How easy can be trapped in some misunderstandings, no?
Well, it's manipulation. Of course it's purposefully. What are you thinking? Yeah, but there's a great deal of expertise in emotional manipulation. You know, there are some people who are very sensitive to refinement of human interaction. So you can feel another person's feelings, and you understand if you're going too far or not far enough. All of this is intuitive. And if you don't have that, there's something wrong. If you don't have that capability, there's something wrong with you. So there are certain principles, but some people, they don't understand it at all because they're like stones, you know. Because you assume that everybody has a minimum level of understanding. It's about people breaking your barriers and imposing themselves and being completely like buffaloes or something. Even Baba says half of the BKs are buffaloes, some of them are cows. Buffalo. Zero refinement. Okay, but then you have to deal with unrefined people.
You have to speak strongly and...
Well, you've never seen people like that in your life, but there are.